What's going on, everyone? Thrift Barringer here, and we are excited for the inaugural high school game day, and we're live on location here at the Glenwood School, and the #1 Gators are taking on the #1 Pacelli Vikings. Glenwood coming in as a preseason #1 team in the AISA, that's Alabama. Pacelli coming in as a preseason #1 team in the GIAA, that's Georgia. Pacelli was the defending state champions. Glenwood was state runner-up last year. 2 elite programs, 2 great coaches. But Richard, football's back, and I'm so glad we're actually having a pre-game show unlike any other around here. High school game day right here at Glenwood.
Thrift, we finally made it to the first week of high school football. All the anticipation, all the preparation, it is finally here, and I couldn't think of a better place to have high school game day right here at the Swamp. Just a great atmosphere here at Glenwood. Glenwood and Pacelli, wow. You can't ask for a better matchup.
You can't ask for a better matchup at all. So, brief history about the Glenwood Gators. The school started in the early 70s, and it has been a school for now going on 50 years. 50 years last year. So this will be year number 51. They have won state championships. We're actually at the baseball state championship monument, and around us here on the turf is all the different state championships. They got 23. They won their 23rd this past year, which is pretty incredible feat for this school. So Glenwood, one of the top programs in the AISA, private school around this area. I'm actually an alumni of here. I went here all 4 years of my high school career, and I've enjoyed seeing this school continue to flourish, even going back to the days that I was here as a student to now still being one of the top private schools around the area. But Richard, what are some of the other great facts you found out about Glenwood, including their football history?
Well, Glenwood started as a football program back in 1970. They won state championships in 1978, 91, and 92. And so it's been a while. It's been over 30 years that they have won a state championship. But they've gotten close.
Yep.
They've gotten to the championship game in the last couple of years. In fact, last year, they actually played Lee Scott Academy very close. They lost the game 35-21. But if you saw how dominant Lee Scott Academy was last year, Glenwood, in the 2 times that Glenwood played Lee Scott, they were very close. They came the closest to beating Lee Scott. And I'm telling you, Coach Nelson's got a great team this year for the 2023 season.
And so I'm going to allude to what you were just talking about. They haven't won a state championship in over 30 years, but they've made to multiple state championships. They made it in 2011. They made it multiple times under head coach Jason Gibson over the last 5 or 6 seasons, and then again last year with Ryan Nelson. So they won a basketball state championship last year. They won a baseball state championship. Coach Drew's got many of those in basketball. Coach Fanning, he's got 9 of his own in baseball. But the one thing that this school covets more than anything is getting that illustrious football state championship, and they haven't done it in a long time. And they're thinking this year is the best Glenwood team they've had, and they fielded in a long time. And that's saying something because they've had some excellent players come through here and excellent teams over the last 10 to 15 seasons. Richard, what are some of the things you're interested in seeing with the Glenwood team heading into this year?
I would like to see the development of Dallas Crow. He was a starter last year. He was a dual threat quarterback. He was second on the team in rushing to JT Banks, who is now at Lane College. He had over 800 yards rushing, and he threw for 26 touchdowns.
Wow.
He was able to throw the football in the air, and when the pocket collapsed, he could roll to the right. He can get out of trouble, and he can make plays with his legs. But he has lost some weapons. I mean, Aaron Burton is no longer here. JT Banks. They do have some players that are stepping in, and I'm looking forward to seeing the development of Dallas Crow, and I think that he is going to have a great season. Just looking at what he did last year, I had the privilege of calling several games for Glenwood, and I was very impressed with how Dallas Crow could throw the ball down the field. When he has a clean pocket, he could air it out with the best of them.
Yes, he can. He's an extremely good athlete that can dual threat, as you talked about. He can make plays with his legs. He obviously can make plays with his arm. Coach Nelson really, truly believes in him. He is the leader of this team. And you know what, Richard, looking at this Glenwood roster, there's 65 players on it. Now, I'm going back to when I played back in the 2010, 2011 range. And Richard, we had, 30, 40 kids. One of my friends, Judson Humphreys, he's going to come in on the show. He is one of our sponsors, Zaxby's. We're doing a special thing, 25% off on Zaxby's tomorrow at the Phoenix City location and Ladonia location. I'm going to give you the code when he joins in with me, but he played here and he will attest to this. We had a good roster. We had 30, 40 kids. We were proud of that. We thought that was a lot. 65? That's pretty much unheard of, especially for a private school. So they got a lot of depth, and that's one thing Coach Jones for Pacelli, that's what worried him the most, is the depth that Glenwood has, especially on the offensive and defensive line. So we got a mega matchup, number 1 versus number 1. I am excited about these Gators and Vikings, and now we're going to transition to the Pacelli Vikings. Dwight Jones. He's coached about every school in the Tri-City area. He's coached at Harris County. He's coached at Russell County. He's coached at Hardaway. I'm going to leave off some schools, but now he is at Pacelli, and he has turned that program that not about 5 or 6 years ago, just like the basketball program with Corey Black, they were like 2-8, 0-10, morbid program. And now he has them as one of the best private schools, not only in the area, but in the state of Georgia as well. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with them. Coach Jones' team went 9-1 in the regular season last year, made it to the state championship. What are some things that you see with this Pacelli team coming in this year?
Well, this is a very young Pacelli team. I mean, they had a major experience last year with Cam Ellis. He is graduated. You have Jalen Turner. He's also graduated as well. But you got a new quarterback. You talked about him. You have A.Z. Justy. He is going to be the top wide receiver for the Pacelli Vikings.
Yep.
But you look at Brown, who is a junior.
Yeah.
He is going to be the starting quarterback for Dwight Jones' Pacelli Vikings, who you talked about them winning a GIAA championship. It was a very low-scoring game.
Yep.
It was at Five Star Stadium in Macon. They defeated Stratford Academy 10-0. But let's talk about the game, the semifinal game, where Cam Ellis had like a 4th and forever.
Yeah.
And he ended up putting the cape on, and he was able to really break the hearts of Brookstone Cougar fans. And Cam Ellis, he's been hanging around. I mean, he's helping out with the St. Mark basketball camp.
Yep.
And, you know, he's a very proud Pacelli Viking. And this is really 2 incredible fan bases that are here at the Swamp. And I expect Pacelli fans to make the trip and pack that visitor side of the bleachers. No
doubt about it. Just like we saw last year, Glenwood represented themselves very well. I mean, we're talking about a 20-minute drive right over the bridge. I'm expecting the same thing for the Pacelli Vikings. I want to talk about that run when I was actually on the field with Brookstone. 4th and 23, Cam Ellis was dead to rights, looks like he was about to be sacked, and made an unbelievable play all the way to the 1-yard line. They scored the next play, and then they end up beating Brookstone to head to the state championship. But like you talked about, they lost Cam Ellis. They lost James Horton. They lost their elite running back, Jalen Turner. But teams like Pacelli, like Glenwood, they don't rebuild, they reload.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be reloading. Now, one of the things Coach Jones talked about is who's going to be the leader for this team. They lost a lot of leadership, and that's one of the things that worries Coach Jones heading into the season. When we did an interview with him earlier in the week, Christian Brown was a sophomore last year. He didn't get much playing time on the football team. He was a really good player, backup guard for the basketball team. He's talented, he's athletic, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. And heading into a matchup like the one we're seeing tonight, hostile environment here at the Swamp, that's asking a lot for a first-year starter. But Coach Jones believes in him. His coaching staff believes in him. And I think they got him prepared for, again, should be a great matchup against Glenwood. A.Z. Justy, he's 6'3". The guy is a phenomenal athlete. I remember seeing him during the basketball game. He was dunking out the wazoo. He's also a great wide receiver as well.
Yeah,
he can
exactly
catch the ball all over the field. When you see him, I think Randy Moss, a TO, a possession-type receiver, the guys that are big and physical. So this Pacelli team's got athletes, and they got skill players. The question is, can Christian Brown get it to them in time, and can the offensive line that had to replace a lot of starters, can they keep him upright? Can they protect him? A lot of questions heading in this game. But Coach Jones said he had a really good offseason developing them, and I expect them to be ready. So, Richard, any other final thoughts before we head on to our next thing here on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live High School Game Day Show?
Well, Pacelli, like you mentioned, is a very young team. But A.Z. Justy, last year with 4 touchdowns, he had 380 receiving yards.
Yeah.
And I think that he is going to be the playmaker. Just throw the ball up and down with the football.
Yeah.
And on the side of Glenwood, really, it's going to start with the offensive line. Whoever controls the line of scrimmage should have a good night tonight.
I completely agree. And before we have our next guest on, I do want you to give a quick recap because you were bugging me last night. We got to recap the 2 games that happened last night. I was like, all right, Richard, I will make time to recap the LaGrange versus Carver Atlanta game, and then Chambers coaches here at Glenwood. He's the coach at Chambers. They were playing Lee Scott, the defending state champion for AISA. What happened in those 2 games, Richard?
Well, let's start with Chambers and Lee Scott. Lee Scott, it was a defensive battle. They were up 14-0 in the beginning of the game. Chambers Academy did put up a touchdown. Lee Scott wins the game 14, improving, and they went toe-to-toe with I don't know if it's a rebuilding team by Buster Daniel, their head coach of the Lee Scott Academy Warriors.
Right.
But also a big shout out to the Lee Scott Academy Network. Jacob Goings, the play-by-play announcer, did a phenomenal job on the broadcast. I was able to watch the game on the Lee Scott Network. Now let's move over to Callaway Stadium.
Before you do that, Chambers is only a 1A school. So
that's true.
Just like in the GIAA, there's 1A, 2A, and 3A. Same thing for the AISA. There's 1A, 2A, and 3A. So they're a 1A school. They're much smaller than Lee Scott. The fact they kept it close, that's a testament to Coach Jason Allen and his staff.
Unbelievable. And I thought that Chambers Academy, which Glenwood will play for the season finale. Now let's go over to LaGrange, taking on Carver of Atlanta, one of the top teams in 3A at Callaway Stadium. LaGrange had the 7-0 lead. You know, they lost 28-12, but it was much closer than that.
Yeah.
They were down 14-12. They were about to punch it in to take the lead. The running back fumbles. Carver of Atlanta scoop and score to the house, 97 yards, and then they capped it off on a pick 6.
Wow.
And so they won it 28-12. But it was a great game, and hats off to the LaGrange Grangers and head coach Matt Napier for really a valiant effort against one of the top teams in 3A.
Exactly right. So thank you, Richard, for that recap. All right, time to bring my next guest on. And this guy is a longtime friend of mine. He also is feeding the entire GASL, Georgia Alabama Sports Live staff. It is my good friend Judson Humphreys from Zaxby's. Judson, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too, Judson. So, a couple things. First things first, you played here at Glenwood. Talk about your experiences, what Glenwood means to you, and then also talk about why you wanted to sponsor the live streams and high school athletics around the area.
Well, athletes are a big deal here for sure, but for me, Glenwood is family. I mean, I met my wife here. My 3 kids go here now.
Right.
My brother went here.
Right.
My mom coached here. You know, I mean, so for me, I bleed orange and white, my whole family. And so I still think we own Lee Scott, you know, all those kind of things. So there's no doubt I'm passionate about it. And that's one of those things where, from the Zaxby side of things, giving back to the community, you know, you've been my friend since high school, and giving back to you when I can, and trying to help out my you know, school, being an alumni, doing everything I can with all that. So it's really what it's all about for me.
And I appreciate that, Judson. I love the support. You see this awesome platter right here, and that's the next thing I'm going to ask Judson. This is a tailgate platter you're not going to get anywhere else. So football season upon us. You got high school football on Friday. You got college football on Saturday. You got NFL on Sunday. That's 3 days. You're going to have to feed people, and there's not a better place to feed people than Zaxby's. So talk about all the tailgating stuff that y'all have for people that want to be able to have you I can't even think of the word right now. Come and cater, their events.
Well, okay, so we have a pretty big catering menu. It doesn't get used as often as, you know, it probably should.
Right.
But we have a lot of great options to really feed a bunch of people for a relatively, you know, fair price. And the good news is, too, you can get stuff like what's shown here is the Zampler, where you can get fingers and wings. You can also do it with boneless wings. We have, you know, our salad bars, which are, you know, for those people who want to eat a little healthier, which that's not really what College Game Day and all that's about.
But everybody loves a sensation salad. Come on now.
Yeah, well, that just keeps coming and going. You know, it said LTO, and they always get mad at me when it's gone. And kind of like the McRib at McDonald's, and then, you know, just keeps coming back. But, but no, we got tons of good catering options. Chips is something that is really, that's what I like to tell people about, because it holds really good, feeds a big crowd. It comes with the same seasoning salt that's on our fries, and that's something that really is just underplayed, in my opinion. But we have a lot of great options. And yeah, we're always here. We have online ordering, and we have an app now that started, and it's really going good. You can get discounts through it, things like that. So yeah, just order ahead or call ahead and we'll have it ready for you.
Speaking of discounts, I'm about to give you the discount code to do something that I think is really special tomorrow with Zaxby's. And we want you to support all Zaxby's, but specifically the one in Phoenix City and Ladonia. That's where my friend Judson, he's in charge of those two. And those two locations, only those two. So if you go to the Columbus one or anywhere else, they're not going to do this discount. It's only those two locations. You get 25% off all day tomorrow, anything on the menu. And that's right, Judson?
Yeah, and we made that clear. It's the whole order. So if you order 5 Big Zax Snacks, it'll be 25% off the entire order, whatever you get.
Nice.
So.
It's going to be the discount code, GAS Live. That's all you got to say. Gas Live. I would prefer you not to say Gas Live. I prefer you to say GAS Live.
Right, that's right.
But either way, you say that at either one of those locations, Zaxby's going to hook you up with 25% off. I'll also be live tomorrow giving that discount code again, GAS Live, and go to those two locations, get 25% off your order. Justin, anything else before we let you go?
No, I just appreciate you having me on. I'm really glad to see a couple of alumni here back supporting the Swamp and being here. And all I got to say is go Gators tonight.
Go Gators, and thank you so much, Judson. And make sure to support Zaxby's Kickin' Chicken Sandwich, one of my favorite things on the menu. Thank you, Judson.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, my next guest, I'm going to bring him on. He's my partner in crime. He's my radio guy. He's given me so many opportunities. It's none other than Mr. DJ Jones of Sports Vision. DJ, how are you?
I'm wonderful, man. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm going to mic you up real quick. All right, we're going to do a quick interview. I know, Richard, I'm going to let you ask some questions too. DJ, first things first, thank you so much for coming on our inaugural show. You're going to be the helmet gear picker. He's going to be the one. So if he doesn't pick your school, don't take it up with me. Take it up with DJ. But listen, you can hear the Sports Vision's radio show every Monday and Thursday, 92.1 Smooth R&B. Let me tell you some of the guests we've had on. Ronnie Brown on Monday. Quincy Carter. Ronnie Brown, legendary player at Auburn. Quincy Carter, legendary player at Georgia. These are some of the few great guests. Charles Oakley, legendary player in the NBA. But DJ, Sports Visions is more than that, and I'm going to let you tell the story of what is Sports Visions.
Well, Sports Visions is a creation of a dream, really, of my longtime buddy and partner, Dale Williams. We started almost 20 years ago, back in 2004. And we wanted to basically just, give these young athletes, student athletes and coaches an opportunity to be recognized and celebrated.
Right.
And, it started with the television show, and then obviously we created the awards luncheons, which was the football, which is the longest running now, 16 years.
Yep.
We also wanted to take care of the female athletes because they're just as much a part of the system as anybody. And we're working on our 9th year with honoring those young ladies.
Awesome.
And of course, this year we're looking to do even more because there's a lot of opportunities. We've done a lot, but Thrift, I tell you all the time, there's so much more we can do.
Yep, and we're growing. And again, you can listen to the show 92.1 Smooth R&B and the Sports Visions Facebook page as well. All right, DJ. You talked about many of the events that we have and we do. You mentioned the football awards luncheon, but I think that's something that we really need to hit home on right now. For those who don't know, it's going on 16 years, and I want to let you, who of all some of the coaches that you've had come and speak at this wonderful event?
Well, let me see if I can get this in about 30 seconds, man. Obviously, we started at the Hilton Garden Inn with about 155, 160 seats. Again, and you know what? A few years in, Nick Saban was our guest, and we had to get out of that little spot, and that's when we moved downtown to the great 400, 500 seater with, of course, St. Luke Ministry Center. But Nick Saban has been here 3 times. Kirby Smart has been here twice. Of course, we started in the very beginning with some of my former teammates and some of my buddies. The Jeremiah Castillos of the world, the Steve Wallaces, the Brinson Buckners.
Right.
It's those were the guys who started. But one thing that people really don't know, Mark Richt was the first college coach that wanted to be a part of it because he was recruiting the area. He understood how rich and talented that this area was. Right. And that's where it blossomed, because you know how coaches are. They're always trying to one-up each other. And Mark Richt started it off, and here we are now in year 16. And really, we don't get any no's. Anybody we call, they want to come.
Exactly. You talked about Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, and these players that may not have an opportunity to ever be near a Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart or a Mark Richt or a Gus Malzahn or a Dabo Swinney. They get that here. So at the end of the season, that's when we congratulate and give awards to all the great teams, all the great coaches and players around the area. That's coming up in December. So make sure to tune in to Sports Visions so you can hear how you can tune in and how you can be a sponsor and a part of that great football awards luncheon. Last thing we're going to talk about, DJ, is you do a tour with Morehouse School of Medicine, and our Pick'em is powered by Morehouse School of Medicine. This live is presented by Zaxby's and Sports Visions. So talk about the tour. You went around to many different high schools around the area, talked to the players and coaches, and motivated them for the upcoming season.
You know, everybody always hear about the accolades, and, you know, you won championships. I've won a few SEC championships, of course, a national championship. But, you know, what people want to think that it's, you know, it's something that can't be, you know, attained. And I want those kids to understand it's simple.
Right.
You know, first of all, you have to be a good person. And I basically, they want to hear about all the great players I played with, the Herschel Walkers and the Walter Paytons I played against. And you know what? But I don't go there. I stay right here. I talk about home. I talk about our neighborhood. I talk about where I'm from, where I grew up, the same schools, the same playgrounds, the same recreation centers that those kids are playing at now,
right,
and their parents. So that meant that, you know, from this community, they could possibly achieve. So I want them to be good people first and foremost.
And then you also had Morehouse come, and they were able, Ms. Chandra, to talk about the opioid addiction that happens. And for those who don't know, that's when you take painkillers and stuff, and the kids get addicted to it, and that is a problem, more than you realize. And she was doing a really good job showing the kids of what to look out for so they don't have that type of problem.
Absolutely. Again, a tremendous partner, and again, to go in and to educate these kids. And we take real life subjects in and put it in front of them, because this is what they're going through right now. And you'll be surprised at how many kids are up and familiar with it, because, you know, if they are not involved, they got their family members, their teammates, somebody that they know is affected by these opioids. And we just try to go in and talk about the awareness and the measures of staying away and what to do if you have a situation.
Exactly right. All right, I'm going to take this from me real quick. We're actually having to share mics. If you see us passing around, we're about to do our Morehouse School of Medicine High School Pick'em, and we're going to bring on our special guest picker, a good friend of mine and my high school basketball coach, Coach Dusty Perdue. Come on in, Coach Dusty Perdue, the head basketball girls and boys. He's a crazy person. He wants to be the girls JV and varsity and boys JV and varsity coach. He's always busy, and he's also the PA announcer for the football team. Coach Perdue, how are you?
Doing great. This thing's fixing to pick up. I just want you to know, I am excited to be here. First time you've been on the campus doing this.
Yep.
We're with legends. I'm sitting here with two guys that know what they're talking about. I couldn't be more excited about being here today.
Me either, Coach. All right, let's give a little background history for those who don't know. You got a dad who's a legendary coach around this area, Bubba Ball. He coached at a lot of high schools around here, won state championships. Talk about what it means for football season around this area, how big of a deal it is, and what it meant to you seeing someone like him be successful.
Well, let's talk about that guy next to you, because I got to see him play in high school when I was a ball boy for Coach Ball at Shaw High School down at Memorial Stadium. If I remember correctly, number 17.
Absolutely.
If I remember that correctly, and Herman Archie on that team.
Yes.
I'm getting chills just talking about it. My dad, I spent some time playing for him and was the ball boy for him, watching legends like this, Nate Odoms, those guys at Carver. It means a lot. Football season means a lot. I don't coach football anymore, and I did for 8 or 9 years. But my thing is now, I'm here. I'm the voice on Friday nights for the Gators here at the Swamp. And we're excited about having y'all here. We're excited about the opportunity for y'all to get to call this game. 2 really good programs, very well coached, going head-to-head tonight. And, Coach Ball, passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. He would have been 101 this past birthday that he had. But his legend still lives on. I'm not going to mention him without mentioning the lady of his life, that's my mother, who's also a legend. And she's probably watching right now, so if we don't mention the other legend, I'm going to get in trouble. So there's 2 Coach Balls in my life, and they're both very, very strong. And I'm just a second-generation coach, and I hope I'm just a chip off the block of them.
And so you see that big rock on his finger. This is a guy.
I had to wear that.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I had to wear that tonight.
He just won a state championship. He's won multiple state championships at Glenwood. He's the greatest Glenwood basketball coach in the history of the school.
That's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot, but there's no doubt about that, Coach Perdue.
Thank you.
All right. And also, I'm glad you said that, because I didn't even mention, if you want to be able to watch the live stream, we're going to be live on our Facebook page, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and our YouTube channel.
Well, there's 2 of your friends who are related to me that are watching right now. It's the Ball Boys. They're watching, Austin and Alex, my 2 little brothers. I want to send a shout-out to them.
Shout out to Austin and Alex. Love them. Love our playing days together as well. All right, without further ado, that's why everybody's tuning in. We're going to do our pick'em. And without further ado, the first game is a game that is really close to my man right here, DJ Jones. He played at Carver. The Carver Tigers went all the way to the Elite Eight last year, DJ. They're 9-3. They're taking on Hardaway, who got a new coach. Where are you going?
Obviously, you know what?
Are you kidding?
I love Coach McKenzie, and again, I'm glad he's here for the first year with Hardaway, but they're going to get killed tonight by Carver.
I think so too. I'm going to take Carver in a landslide. I think Coach McKenzie's doing the right thing, but when you're taking on a juggernaut like Carver, that's asking a lot. What are some of the things you're looking forward to tonight, Richard?
I really am looking forward to the development of freshman quarterback for Hardaway, Robbie Gary. I think that he is going to have a great game, and I think that Carver is just one of those teams that just to continue reloading. I mean, yes, they lost Novell Dean, they lost Jamari Riley, they lost Keldon Smith. They're all playing at the next level, but they've got a special team. Coach Pierre Coffey in his second year, it's looking, look out. I mean, Carver, it could, I know last year it was close in the first half. I mean, it could be really a blowout, like you mentioned, DJ.
Well, I've been to On the Hill. I've played on the field that named after Coach McGee now. They've renamed it. Played JV there, and it wasn't fun. And, hey, I've seen Coach McKenzie's new helmets with the new logo on the side.
Like with the duck
But
feather?
that's not going to get it done for him tonight. I'm taking Carver big.
Yep. So that's 4 for Carver right there. All right, next one. And Richard, I'll let you pick this one first. We got Northside and we got Columbus. You called that Northside game. They made it to the playoffs last year. Went 10-2, won the region for the first time in a long time. Coach Oropeza is having to replace a lot of seniors, but I still think they got a really good program. I think they're going to be a good team still in 5A this year. They take on Columbus. Who you got?
You got to think of the quarterback battle here between Caden Clay and Robert Hartford of Columbus. This is a rivalry game. Northside, they're going to feel like not having Malachi Hosley is going to be big, but like you mentioned at Media Days, let Caden Clay cook. I think Northside wins big.
All right, DJ, what do you got? Northside and Columbus.
Just the fact that it's a 5A school, and obviously Coach Oropeza has a tremendous program, but going up against, again, a very courageous Columbus High School team, but I think that'll be another big victory for Northside.
And I'm glad you mentioned that courageous. Coach Phil Marino, he had health problems last year. He came back better than ever. He is the longest tenured coach around the area. Shout out to him at Columbus High, but I'm with you. I think Northside's too much. Coach Purdue.
Let me give you a little history lesson. Phil Marino. Prayers out to him, by the way.
Yep.
Both boys went to Glenwood.
Did not know that.
Yes, sir. Both of them played over here. Coach Oropeza, I think second year, right?
Yep.
Young coach. Don't go against the Patriots tonight. I'm taking Northside, maybe 2 touchdowns.
I'm hoping that we're all going to be picking different teams right now because we're all on the same page.
Go ahead.
Next one, I'm going to let Coach Purdue pick this one. This is the school he went to. It's the Shaw Raiders, and they got a new guy, Johnny Gardner. He is related to the great Charles Flowers. They're coming in last year, 4-7, revamped offense. A lot of momentum heading with this Shaw team. They take on Marion County, who went 2-9 last year. What are your Raiders doing?
Quit taking away my information. Coach Garner, met him. I knew him as a kid. Is related to the legend who's like a big brother, big father to me. Coach Flowers was really good with my dad and my mom. I'm excited about the Silver and Black sort of coming back a little bit. He's got a ways to go, but I think he's turned some heads. He's been on TV a couple of times doing some documentaries and stuff. I cannot go against the Silver and Black. I'm going to take Shaw Raiders big.
Oh, you got to add the big in there too,
I'm
Coach.
taking the big.
Richard?
I think what Coach Garner has is something special. He's really taken over a program that made the playoffs last year. They went 4-7, and he's just carrying the legacy of what Shaw U is, what we're trying to get back to the early 2000s. I think that Coach Garner, he's got a great team. Now they go to Buena Vista. It's a hostile environment. They got a good fan base down there, Marion County and Buena Vista. But Shaw, I saw them in their jamboree, and they looked pretty good. And they're going to continue to throw the football down the field. I like Shaw in this game on the road in a hostile environment.
DJ, you got to talk to the Shaw Raiders. What do you think about this team? You think they're going to win big, and how excited are you about Coach Gardner?
Well, Marion County's coming in with a lot of tradition and a lot of a lot of great history, but that's not going to help him tonight. I think Johnny Gardner in his first year with the Raiders again, I think he's on path and on slate to turn this program around and go back to the Shaw Raiders of old.
That's 4 Shaw Raiders right there. Next one, the Kendrick Cherokees, team that went 1-9 last year. They got new coach Robert Martin in his second season. It's a rebuilding project. I think he's got the team on the right path. They play Seminole County. They're 4-7. They're a really good team, DJ, and they're playing at Seminole County. I'm going to say Kendrick loses this game, but a close one. What about you?
I'm going to go with the home team. You know what? I don't know a whole lot about Seminole County, but I know what? I'm just going with the home team.
I like that answer, DJ. Richard?
I'm calling the upset. I'm a believer in what Coach Martin is doing with the Kendrick Cherokees. I think that they're in the right path, not to the point of the 92 team led by running back Del McGee that won the state title, but we talked about Kendrick improving. I see them getting the upset on the road tonight against Seminole County.
Who'd you say the coach was at Kendrick?
Robert Martin.
Let me give you some more history.
Okay.
From Griffin High School.
Yep.
Coached with our coach Ryan Nelson for a year at Griffin High School before Ryan took this job.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Coach Griffin. I'm going with the Kendrick Cherokees just because of his relationship with Coach Nelson.
So we got 2 Cherokees. We got 2 Seminole County. We want Kendrick to win, but we just think that's a little too much on the road. Next one, Harris County. I call them the sleeping giant. They're a 5A school. If they ever get it right, the talent's there. They have a potential to be a great team. DJ, they take on a juggernaut, Troup County, Teo Todd. He's a highlight film. On the road, team that went all the way to semifinals, Harris County at Troup County. Where you going?
I'm going with the Sports Vision's Player of the Year, Teo Todd, and the Troup County team.
Yeah, I'm taking the same one. I think Troup County is going to be way too much. It's going to probably be ugly at the second half. But shout out to Coach Tommy Watson.
Troup County is a juggernaut. They are a competitor for a state title in 4A. Teo Todd is a human highlight film. And not just Teo Todd, they have some top recruits, according to Rivals.com, with Qua Birdsong and Noah Dixon. And they're playing at Callaway Stadium. Harris County is improved. I like Levi Watson as a quarterback, but I think that Troup County is going to win and win big.
Tanner Glisson, the head coach at Troup County, saw him play at Manchester back in the day for my nephew, Jeremy Williams, and I know they are really, really good. Love the name, Teo Todd.
Yes.
Great name, great player. I'm taking Troup big.
Next one, Greenville. Went 2-7 last year, and they take on Spencer at the Otis Spencer Stadium. Spencer went 10-3. They got a really good program with Gary Gaither, one of the top quarterbacks in the state. Spencer versus Greenville. Where you going, DJ?
I'm going with the Green Waves, a high-powered offense. Again, you mentioned Gaither. He's going to throw it up. He'll probably throw for 200 or 300 yards tonight and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing, too. Coach Kegler's got these boys rolling, heading in hot after last year's region championship.
I've got the Spencer Green Wave and future 2A Player of the Year, Gary Gaither. He's in his 3rd year, and he has got a great team. And Coach Kegler, I think that Spencer ends up being the favorites to win the regions. And Greenville, that's a tough task. They're a team in 1A Division I. And big shout out to Greenville, home of NBA, 2-time NBA champion Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Yeah, it's just that in football, it's a little tougher, especially going into a hostile environment. Otis Spencer. And Thrift, I got to say, is this the first time in Columbus history that all 3 high school stadiums are going to be in action tonight?
I think so. I don't know if it happened last year because the stadium opened in October, exactly. But that would be a pretty cool thing.
Right. Spencer's really, really good. Coach Kegler does a great job. I'm going to take Spencer also because I looked on Max Preps today. Greenville's only dressing 15 to 18 players somewhere, and it's hot out here.
Yeah.
They wear down in the 3rd quarter if it's even close. Spencer, big.
Big. Coach Purdue, everybody's big right now with his picks. I love it. All right, we got 2 more. Or 1 more before the matchup that everybody's looking forward to. We got Calvary versus Cherokee. Calvary Christian's got a new coach, Emmanuel Brudson. We've had him on the Sports Visions radio show. We believe in him, but they're a young team, and they take on the defending state champions in Gaps, Cherokee, on the road. Where are you going, DJ?
I'll tell you what, I know that the Cherokee is tough, but I'm going with the home team.
Okay.
I'm gonna kick the bucket a little bit. I'm going with the home team.
I'm going to go with a Calvary Christian Knights. I think they're going to keep it close, and I'm going to pick the upset just because I love Brunson. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm going to go on a limb anyway. Calvary beats Cherokee.
I'm going with the upset, too. Calvary Christian is going to go on the road and beat the defending Gaps champion, Cherokee Christian. I'm a believer in what Coach Brunson is doing at Calvary. Yes, they are going to miss the running back Jaden Mason. I mean, he was all-world last year. They did finish 6-6, but what Coach Brunson has done, what he does best is developing these players, and I think that they can compete with any team in the Gaps, including the defending champions, so I'm picking the Knights in an upset.
we get to announce who wins these picks, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're announcing.
I'm going to keep up with these.
I'm supposed to pick the local team.
That's a school that you coached at, by the way.
Correct. Started there.
Yeah.
But I'm going with Cherokee because I'm trying to win this thing because I want you to say my name next week. So I know that, and I looked them up. They scored a lot of points last year, Cherokee did. A lot of points. When they played last year, Calvary and Cherokee, it was like 51-27. Yeah. So Calvary was in the game. But I'm trying to win, so I'm taking Cherokee.
All right, we're finally here. It's the matchup of all matchups, the preseason GIAA team, St. Anne Pacelli Vikings, defending state champions, taking on the preseason number 1 AISA team in Alabama, state runner-up last year, the Glenwood Gators. Should be a great matchup. Richard, you're on the call in the game. We're going to follow the ESPN rule where you can't pick the game you're calling. So give us some inside key points for the game you're looking forward to.
All right, the keys of the game, let's start with Glenwood. Dallas Crow, if he has a clean pocket, he could throw the ball down the field. But which receiver is going to step up for the Glenwood Gators? I mean, Aaron Burton is no longer there. Jackson Milam, great punt returner last year. The McCrane brothers. He's got to find a weapon to go down the field. They're going to miss J.T. Banks. Who's going to carry the workload in the backfield? As for Pacelli, Brown coming in as a junior quarterback, he has got big shoes to fill with Cam Ellis leaving. But Pacelli is a very young team. If they can get to Dallas Crow, force some turnovers in this hostile environment, although I think this is going to feel like a neutral field, you're going to have probably just as much fans of Pacelli as Glenwood. So I don't think home crowd is going to be a factor. So that's the key to whoever can control the line of scrimmage and force turnovers. That's who's going to win the game.
I hope all the fans out there, because they're going to make it hostile. Richard Holdridge said that, not Thrift Barringer. All right, Coach Purdue, we know where you're going, but why do you think they're going to win?
Well, let's talk a little bit. There's a lot of history in this game that, we only started playing them last year. It was the first time. But this is our second year. The coach graduated from Glenwood at Pacelli. Dwight Jones played here and coached here. So there's a lot of history here. I like where our team is right now. We returned Dallas Crow, who was a big part of the game last year. Don't worry about his arm. You better worry about his legs because he can run the football too. You want to know what wide receiver we're going to throw to? He's number 12. His name's Mason McCrane. You may have heard that name before because he won me a basketball game last year to get me to the state championship. He's about 6'6", and him and AZ are going to match up against each other. There's another 6'6" on the other side, so that's going to be a great matchup all night. I think that's going to be something to watch. What's going to happen is their defense is really good. Pacelli's defense is really good. Can we move the football is going to be the question. They don't have Tim Tebow anymore. He's playing in Chattanooga playing basketball, so they don't have him anymore, so they're breaking in a new quarterback. I hope we get to. Not so fast, my friend.
Oh, look at that.
Not so fast.
First one.
Take the chomp, the Gators, by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, I love it. All right. We're finally here. We got a not so fast, my friend. I love the reference, Coach Purdue, to Lee Corso. All right. DJ Jones, without further ado, number 1 versus number 1. Give me your insight. Where you going?
Well, both teams have tremendous coaches. Coach Jones with Pacelli and Coach Nelson with the Gators. I tell you, man, it's a tough choice, and I know both teams are number 1 in the state of Alabama and of course, Georgia. But when you talk about this Pacelli team, I tell you, man, they lost a lot of firepower. But my choice for winning tonight will be the Gators.
Look, you see. Look at that. He's trying to put the helmet on. Look, he's going to try to put it on. Look at that. DJ Jones, love it. It picks the Gators.
That's the way, baby.
Thank you to Judson Humphreys and Zaxby's. DJ Jones, the Sports Visions coach, Dusty Purdue. Make sure to tune in tonight. Thank y'all so much, and we love everyone that supports Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. From Thrift Barringer, Richard Holdridge, Dusty Purdue, DJ Jones. We're signing off. It's Glenwood versus Pacelli coming up in about an hour and a half.